years of my life, I was dead set on being a princess. I would dream about moving to a faraway magical land and living in a castle, with a prince, of course. I loved when my dad would tell me stories about himself growing up, but he didn't grow up in the United States like I did. He grew up somewhere else. He would tell me stories about where he grew up, about how different it was. People were different there. Strangers would smile and greet you on the street. They would go out of their way to help you, even if they didn't know you, which seemed absurd compared to the people I was used to. I loved the idea of this place. I knew that it was where I wanted to live. It sounded absolutely perfect, and it was called Canada. Moving to another country seemed like something that would never happen to me. My parents had talked for as long as I could remember about going back to where my dad had grown up, but it seemed like a distant fantasy, a point in my life that was decades away. It was unimaginable. I wanted to go, that I knew for sure, but I imagined going on my own, later in life, for university perhaps. I had never anticipated beginning high school there. For a while, I couldn't comprehend that I was moving away from the house I had lived my entire life in, or that I was leaving behind friends that had been by my side since the first grade. I had never realized that no matter how great of a place I was moving to, it meant leaving every other aspect of my life behind. That thought terrified me, but not enough to deter me from finally moving to Canada. I had never realized how much it meant to be a citizen of anywhere. Growing up, I took my American citizenship for granted. Now I realize that I am luckier than I had ever dreamed. Because my dad was born a Canadian citizen, I was also born a Canadian citizen. I didn't have to apply and hope that I was eligible, and that is something I could never be more grateful for. This thought occurred to me when we traveled as a family to get my picture taken for my official Canadian citizenship card. It stayed with me as we crossed the Canada-US border for the very first time, and the officer smiled at me and said, "Welcome home, miss." And it resonates within me today when I look back at my life and think about how nothing would be the same if I didn't live where I do now, and I could never feel more fortunate. I braced myself for an onslaught of stereotypical judgment, and I got it, but never in a truly harsh way. My first day of high school in Canada was the most confusing day of my entire life, but not the most terrifying. In my first class, I spent a half hour trying to figure out what pencil crayons were, and if my binder was the same thing as a duotang. In gym class, I figured that runners was the Canadian term for tennis shoes, but I couldn't for the life of me understand why gym clothes were called jib strip. I hoped that drama would be at least a taste of what I was used to, but I was wrong. It's pronounced drama. However, these differences made people curious about me. It got people laughing, and I was making friends, and it was 1,000 times easier than I'd ever expected it to be. People were accepting me, and it was nothing like I'd ever thought I would experience. Unlike what I'd been used to where I grew up, new students could be integrated into a school and not feel alienated, no matter how tight-knit of a community. Today, I only have a slight accent. I eat poutine and Tim Hortons more often than I should, and there is nowhere else I would rather be. It is hard to understand how different two nations can be without completely immersing yourself in the principles and beliefs of both. I never could have realized what a difference there would be from one country to its neighbor until I took the chance and moved here. It's unimaginable how these places are so physically close, yet the cultures are worlds apart. There is a difference in the kind of people and in the way they think and act. There is a difference in the things that people do, the activities around me, and it is incredible to see. I feel that this applies to Canadians as well. On my first day of high school, a boy told me I couldn't possibly be from the United States because I didn't weigh enough and eat vast amounts of fast food. So I learned that Canadians have heard their fair share of stereotypes about Americans, but they are also very quick to defer these once they realize that stereotypes do not apply to every person. Who I am today is completely dependent on Canada. Moving helped me to realize who I really am, and I'm still learning, but I never would have opened up the way I have if I hadn't moved to the place I'd always dreamed about. I learn new things about Canada and about myself every day. I adore every friend I have made here, and I am so grateful for every opportunity that has arisen for me. I finally found the fantasy I always dreamed about, and it couldn't be more picture perfect. There's nothing I'll ever be more proud to be than Canadian.
has lived in Summerland for the past 3 years and currently works as a barista at the Beanery Cafe. In her spare time, she enjoys acting, singing, playing guitar, ukulele, and piano. She also plays soccer and tennis and enjoys baking, reading, volunteering, and spending time with friends and family. Mackenzie takes part in leadership and the Social Justice Club at school, where she has helped organize the annual fundraising talent show. After graduation, Mackenzie plans to attend UBCO to become a registered nurse specializing in pediatrics. Mackenzie wants to thank her sponsor, the Beanery Cafe, for supporting and encouraging her throughout this program, and she feels that she has learned some valuable life skills such as public speaking, and this has been an experience she will never forget. Ladies and gentlemen, Mackenzie Vanderton.